Stop provoking or face consequences. Well, that was the tone from Moscow. Sharp, direct, and unmistakable. Well, after a deadly speedboat clash near Cuba, Russia stepped into the storm now and the temperature just went up. Welcome to TimesXP. It's me, Vrityatri, and a Florida registered speedboat approached Cuban waters. Right? What happened next is now the subject of competing narrative and rising global tension. Well, Cuban authorities say that the boat entered their waters armed. They claim shots were fired from the vessel. They say that their forces responded to defend the national sovereignty. Gunfire, chaos, and at least 4 persons dead. But Washington is not ready to accept Havana's version of events. U.S. Secretary of State Mr. Marco Rubio says that America will gather its own facts. The U.S. will not solely trust the Cuban account here. In other words, this story is far from settled. And then enters Moscow. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson, Maria, she strongly condemned the United States. Well, she described the incident as an aggressive provocation. She warned that any action that could deliberately escalate tensions. In fact, her message was clear: do not turn this into something bigger. But here's why this matters. U.S. Cuba relationship has already been very fragile. Sanctions remain in place, diplomatic trust is really thin. Every confrontation feels heavier than it should be. Now add Russia's voice to the mix, and situation becomes even more complex because Moscow has long-standing political ties with Havana. And any instability near Cuba's shore immediately draws wider geopolitical attention. Now let's pause here and ask a critical question. Who was really on that boat? Was it a rogue operation or something coordinated? Who fired first and how did it escalate so quickly? The answer could determine whether this remains a maritime incident or becomes a diplomatic crisis. Well, if the US citizens are harmed unlawfully, then Washington may face pressure to respond. If Cuban forces believe that their waters were violated, they will defend their position. If Russia continues to frame this as an American aggression, the rhetoric could intensify further. And in geopolitics, rhetoric can sometimes be as powerful as action. So here we have one speedboat, one exchange of fire, and 3 major capitals now watching closely: Washington, Havana, and Moscow. Well, the Caribbean may look calm on the map, but beneath the surface, tensions are rising.